All right, folks, how you doing? Okay, now can you definitely hear me in the back? All right, I'm a loudmouth, I know, so I'll try and control myself here. So, Elizabeth, thank you. My name is Ed Dube. I grew up in Chelsea, right outside of Boston, and I live in Burlington now. I teach social studies in Lexington at the William Diamond Middle School. Been doing that since about, well, I've been teaching since about 2001. I've been in Lexington since about 2006. And when I got the call to come out here and talk, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of excited about this, okay? Because I'm not a Walthamite, okay, but I do want to be here in solidarity, okay? Because there's nothing I like more than getting out on the street, walking, knocking, and talking about the issues, because that's one of the most effective ways to get things across to people. All right, so I saw a sign over there that says solidarity. Who's got the solidarity sign? Who's got the solidarity sign? I saw it over there somewhere. All right, solidarity, I love that word. It means unity, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to stand together, because if you think about it, the state of affairs in this Estados Unidos, the United States, it's kind of shaky right now. And I don't see the press really doing a fair job assessing what's going on. I don't see the Democratic Party pushing back enough, okay? So who's it going to come down to? It's going to come down to us, okay? Us, okay? We need to push back. So I've been doing this for a number of years, and when I'm out there on the streets, knocking on doors and talking to people, it can be tricky, okay? But before I go there, let's talk about how the millionaire's tax campaign got off the ground. There's an organization called Fair Share Mass. Has anybody ever heard of it? All right. And so that is a nonprofit, and it's a coalition of a number of organizations. Unions, community organizations, religious groups. It's a big tent, okay? And they work on things like paid family leave, let's see, okay, paid medical leave, minimum wage increases, and the Fair Share Amendment. And in 2022, when we passed the Fair Share Amendment, the millionaire's tax, I was out on the street knocking on doors, and people would be like, I don't like you to say the millionaire's tax, okay, because I find that offensive. Nobody should be feeling bad because they make a lot of money. I kept calling it the millionaire's tax, and you know what? Everybody refers to it as the millionaire's tax, because if you're making over $1 million, you can afford to pay that 4% surcharge, and that money's going a long way. That money's going a long way. Let's see, right now we have universal meals in school, paid for because of the Mass Fair Share. We have free community college because of Mass Fair Share, okay? We have Mass Reconnect for people 25 and over, okay, that have gotten away from their education and want to go back. That's because of Mass Fair Share. And it's not all education, it's also infrastructure, right? Because you got the MBTA getting funds, you got regional transportation getting funds, school construction's getting money, and mental health treatment is getting some money, okay? So this money's going a long way, and guess what? Have the millionaires moved out of Massachusetts? They have not. They're here because, you know what? We have good infrastructure. We have a good quality of life here, and everybody has to pay their fair share, okay? So how does this come together? Because everybody looks to the MTA as, or at least when I talk to folks, it's like, the MTA, you guys got fair share passed, the millionaire's tax. We didn't do it alone. It was actually Raise Up Mass that pulled people together. And organizations made commitments. MTA gave them funding, okay? There's other organizations that are part of the Mass Fair Share Coalition. AFL-CIO was part of it. SEIU was part of it, okay? And again, you have community groups, activist groups, you have religious groups, okay? They're all part of this. And people that didn't contribute funds contributed time. They committed to making X amount of phone calls, X amount of doors knocked, because you want to get your message out there and you want to pull it together. So how does that trickle down? Well, the unions push it down to their members and their member organizers like myself, and I do consider myself a street level organizer, right? Because I'm not one of the strategic people figuring everything out. I'm the guy making sure it can be implemented on the streets, okay, and talking to people and getting the message across. So what happens when you go out and knock on doors? Okay, sometimes you get hostile people, okay? It happens, all right? But a couple years ago, I was training some organizers, okay? This is going back in, let's see, 2023. And young guy, And he's like, oh, gee, yeah, he walked with me, he saw me do it a few times, knock on the door, make my case, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we get to a house, got a big Trump sign on the lawn. He's like, I don't want to go there. Okay? I'm like, you got to go there. He's like, I don't want to go there. I was like, you got to go there. Okay? I was like, look, here's the deal. Okay? You can't assume just because somebody has a Trump sign, they're not going to agree with the issue. The trick is going to be getting them to talk to you. Okay? And I've gone to doors where somebody has a Black Lives Matter sign, and they have not been the best people to talk to based on the issue. It all depends. So you want to go past that sign. You want to knock on that door. So the kid goes up there. He knocks on the door. Old guy in his bathrobe comes out and starts berating him. Okay? Now I'm in my 60s. I'm an old guy too. All right? So I let it go on for a couple of minutes, and then I walked over, and I just walked up the stairs. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, who are you? I was like, I'm Ed. Who are you? And he introduced himself to me. And he was scowling at me and he was yelling at me. And I was like, okay, you're an old guy, you want to yell? I'm an old guy. We can yell at each other for a few minutes or we can just talk because I'm not going away. He calmed down. We talked. When I was done, within 5 minutes, he was like, oh, I'm on board with that issue. I was like, I'm going to vote for that. So, you know what? Perseverance with a vengeance. You got to keep trying. You got to keep going. Okay? Now, mass fair share the millionaire's tax. That was a big deal. Okay? And it was a big organization. And I'm in a union, right? So I'm getting all sorts of messages from my union leaders, from people on high. So how do people in the street get involved? Well, there's a number of things you can do. You can join groups like Indivisible. Okay, Indivisible is a great organization. Okay, I've worked with them many times before. I live in Burlington. I've worked with Burlington Democrats. I've also worked with Burlington Republicans on occasion. Okay, it depends on the issue. Okay, and the thing is, you can get out there. By the way, folks, thank you for taking political action because your being here is political action. So give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. Now, you can go out and hold signs, right? Signs are good, okay? Not necessarily the most effective way to do things. Social media is good. Not necessarily the most effective way to do things. I've bumped into a lot of people who's like, well, I posted on Facebook, okay? Well, that's great. Did you go out and not talk to anybody? Did you go out and knock on a door? No, I'm not comfortable with that. Well, the thing is, you're going to have limited reach when you do social media and when you hold signs. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't do social media, you shouldn't hold signs, but making phone calls, if you ever have the opportunity to make phone calls, volunteer. If you have a chance to knock on doors, volunteer. If you get a chance to do postcards, volunteer. Every little bit helps, but you got to do what you're comfortable with, because not everybody's going to walk past that Trump sign because they're not going to be comfortable. And I got to be honest with you, the more human interaction you have, the more challenges you have, okay? And you got to be aware of that. So what you're comfortable with and what you're comfortable with may be two different things, okay? But at least you're doing something, you're making your voice heard. And again, I don't feel the Democrat, I got to be honest with you, I'll look at the issues, but I can't in good faith bring myself to vote Republican these days, okay? I cannot, okay? But the Democrats are kind of ticking me off a little bit because I don't see them taking enough action, all right? I don't see the media calling people to account because Donald Trump is a clear and present danger, okay? When the tide turns, and I think it will, because even if they gerrymander the hell out of Texas and Florida, I think their policies are so unpopular that they're going to get voted on a sweep. Now, got to be honest, I'm a bit of a pessimist. I'm a glass is half empty, but it's also cracked and it's leaking kind of guy, okay? However, there's always hope, and that's what I base things on. I plan for the worst, but I hope for the best, okay? And so, for us to get out there and do something, okay, that's important. Because when the dust settles, there need to be prosecutions. We could probably thank John Roberts for Donald Trump not being able to be prosecuted. I'm questioning that, though, because I don't think everything he's doing is within the scope of his presidential responsibilities. Okay, just saying, just saying. But, okay, who do I want to see get prosecuted? Kristi Noem. Okay? Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, Robert Kennedy, Russell Vogt, or is it Vought? All of these people should be locked up. And by the way, those people in ICE, the ICE agents, okay, some people don't agree with me on this one. They're just following orders. Well, guess what? I was in the military. You don't follow an unlawful order, okay? Prosecute them too. That's just my 2 cents. Now, let's see. So, I don't want to go off too far. I don't want to go too, I don't want to go too far because I can talk. You ever see the movie Airplane? How many people here are old enough to remember the movie Airplane? Okay, the guy starts telling his life story, and next thing you know, people are trying to off themselves. That can be me sometimes, so you got to be careful with that, all right? But we are living under an authoritarian regime. We're not going that way. We're there, okay? And so it's up to each and every one of us to push back as much as we're comfortable with. Because if we don't stand up, who's going to stand up? If not now, when? If not us, who? Okay? So one last thing I want to say. I want to come back to the fair share, the millionaire's tax. Right now, we are working on an initiative for a corporate fair share, okay? So we want to go after the corporations and make them pay their fair share. So you see anything on that, if you can volunteer, that'd be greatly appreciated. But for right now, I want you to think solidarity and what can we do to help us restore our government to what we think it should be, okay? And what we think it should be is democratic, where everybody has the same rights, opportunities as everybody else. We have our civil rights, which is our rights as a citizen. We have our human rights, right, which everybody's entitled to. And I don't care if you're here legally. I don't care if you came across the border and you let your visa expire. Okay, everybody has the right to be treated as a human being. And the fact that 40%, the last poll I saw said Donald Trump's favorability is at 40%, I just want to know who the heck are these 40%, okay? And how do they sleep at night? So again, do what you can. We plan for the worst, we're going to hope for the best, okay? Freedom, solidarity. Thank you very much.